People who just sit in their car in a parking lot for long periods of time. What are you doing? I know some people who like to spend their lunch breaks in their car at work, even if they have nowhere to go. It is a quiet place. If you sit in the cafeteria at work, someone will come up to you, sit down and start talking at you. Sitting in the car avoids that. I used to do that. I would stop at Wendy's or wherever and get a chicken sandwich or something to eat, and there was a side parking lot of an appliance store that the old man who drove the Goodwill van would park for lunch along with maybe another car or two. I would eat, listen to NPR, mess around on Reddit, whatever I could do to enjoy alone time away from work. One day my wife's brother, who doesn't like me, saw me and called my wife and told her that I was on the side of the building hidden and I was with a dark-haired woman. Of course, despite me admitting exactly where I was and completely confused why she was calling me upset, she told me that her brother saw me with a woman. I laughed and thought she was joking. She wasn't. Eventually she figured out her brother was lying and apologized and so on, but still couldn't get over the fact that I ate lunch in a secluded spot and swore nobody else does that. She then got a job where she wanted to get away and would go to a parking lot and eat lunch and admitted that it was really nice and relaxing. Of course, this is just a small example of the bulls I dealt with during the marriage, and it's no wonder we are divorcing. I also don't eat lunch in parking lots anymore. It's been ruined for me. I had co-workers who did this to escape from the boss. He liked to make it a working lunch if you were in the break room and often prodded you to get back to your desk and handle tasks in between bites. I started leaving, but he'd just call me and tell me to come back. Eating my Taco Bell. Please ignore me. I don't want to be observed while consuming $20 worth of calories and fat to soothe my emotional pain. If I'm observing, it's because I'm totally jealous you got $20 worth of Taco Bell all to yourself. Eating. I've always lived with other people, so going out and having a quiet meal in my car or while I watch YouTube with no distractions is part of my self-care. Mine is eating a donut every week after I go grocery store, before I go home to 2 toddlers and chaos. Just a few moments stuffing my face and not needing to deal with anyone else. Sometimes I'm trying to gather strength to start work. Sometimes I'm in an anxious mood and don't want to interact with people ATM. Sometimes just f'king off. I see people in the parking lot of my apartment building. I think they are just looking for some alone time. I know for me, during the worst of COVID before the vaccines, it was someplace else to be besides my apartment. Selling my house and I had non-stop lookers for 4 days. I took my dog with me in the car, so people can see the house without a dog in it, and so she wouldn't locked in her crate and be scared with hundreds of strangers coming in and out of her house. This also meant there were very few places I could take her, and it was hot, so I couldn't leave her in the car. She and I became car buddies. She found her favorite spot and would curl up there, enjoying the AC and whatever fast food leftovers she would get from me that day. I think she likes Taco Bell the best. You are so brave feeding your dog Taco Bell and staying in a confined space with her. It is usually the only place where I'm alone. I live with my child and husband. I work with co-workers. I shop around strangers. Even in restrooms or my own bathroom, I'm not truly alone since there is someone at the other side of that door. But when I'm in my car, alone, I'm alone. No one is going to open my door to bother me. My phone can be off and no one can make me turn it on. I'm blissfully sharing time with just myself in those rare moments of solitude. Creating a grocery list, going down the Reddit or YouTube rabbit hole, picking up my daughter from work, secretly eating 2 McDonald's cheeseburgers and a medium order of fries, trying to figure out if I really want to go home or fake my death and disappear forever. The last one, geez, me too. I go to any parking spot to wait for my next call. I'm a plumber. A call is when I go to your place because you called my people asking for help. I finished a job. I tell them. I wait somewhere until I get another call. It takes between 2 minutes to hours. When I was in an abusive toxic relationship, I used to park at the beach on my way home every day just to get some peace and avoid her and reflect on things, trying to collect thoughts that escape me when I'm in the situation. I also had 2 roommates, a couple, where one didn't work and the other worked from home. and they were just always at the house, no matter what. The girl literally never left the house for almost anything, had everything delivered all the time, etc. I would just go on drive sometimes, claiming I had errands to run, but really I just start to lose it when I'm around someone too much. I feel you. I do. Hope you're okay. Depends on the situation, usually eating, playing Pokemon Go, or, if I'm feeling particularly introverted, listening to music, thus procrastinating going inside. I used to do this during lunch when I didn't have an office of my own. Now that I have an office, I shut my door and read it. I'm considered antisocial at work, though I really am not. I just need some alone, me time for about an hour. Hi, social worker here. A lot of my work is done in the community. Sometimes, between appointments, I'm on my laptop checking email or writing up case notes. Sometimes, I just need a few minutes to process what happened in a meeting to get my thoughts together. I'm someone that prefers to be early if I have an appointment, interview, or just meeting somebody. I almost always arrive 30-40 minutes early. Well, used to. Kids have changed that to being right on schedule. I just sit in my car until I'm at more acceptable early, like 5-10 minutes. And then 98% of the time, the other party is late. So I sit even longer in my car or in a lobby. Don't be late, buttholes. Usually debating on whether or not to go back into work. Trying not to give into the notion to just take off driving and never stop. Oh, and watching P. I like to sit in my car alone when I'm going through something so I can think. I never get any privacy at home, so sitting alone in a car parking lot is sometimes my only option. Playing Pokemon Go, or I got somewhere early, have time between meeting with people and it's an easy place to kill time alone. I work in hospitality with no staff room, so I am always around people, and I don't live alone. The car is the only place I can have 10 minutes of peace and quiet. Getting somewhere 30 minutes earlier than I need to just so I can have time for an anxiety attack, then recoup and head on my way. I think most are waiting for Uber, Lyft, Instacart, DoorDash, etc. gigs to pop up. Some are just getting away from their roommate's spouse so they can text their side piece in peace. I have seen some smoking, probably because they are not allowed to smoke at home. I know one guy spends time in his car because it is the only AC he owns and it has been so hot. Wow, I had to scroll really far to find this one so I could throw my vote in on gig work. Testing the spot. If it's a good one, I'll stay for a bit, especially ones toward the back of the lot. They need attention, you know? I'm a building inspector and my day is scheduled in hourly blocks. Some inspections only take a few minutes, so I often have a ton of downtime between inspections. It's not enough time to go back to the office, so I just hang out where I can. Listening to an audiobook or podcast, usually between appointments, or relaxing for a minute after lunch before I have to go back to the office. Waiting an eternity for my wife to grab supposedly the one thing she needed for dinner, only for her to come out an hour later with the whole store. I'm doing this right now. I sit in a parking lot in between delivery orders for a third-party service. It's a good central location at a grocery store, so I'm in the middle of the restaurant districts. Used to be a sales rep for a brewery, would sit in parking lots to enter sales or confirm orders, write emails, make calls. It was my office. I loved it. Sometimes if it was in the morning, I would be finishing listening to a song, but if it was summer, I would make sure that my windows were nicer rolled up so my seats would be really nice and hot. I have chronic pain, and the hot seats are something that actually turn into a feature, not a bug, when you have certain body parts that need that heat to make your muscles relax. There aren't a lot of things to appreciate about living in the South, but that is one of them during certain times of the year. I thought I was the only one who truly appreciated that feature. Sure, it made me even hotter for a bit, but for those few moments where the heat was soaking into the body, it's such a relief. I think of it as a built-in sauna, and then putting the AC on blast is like jumping into a cold lake. Annoying a lurker who followed me to my car to snag my spot, so I caught up on my Reddit feed, checked my email, Did a survey for the purchase I had just made, placed a target order for pickup, created a playlist for my upcoming road trip, and a snack. Basically everything I was planning to do when I got home. Well, first I got to turn on my phone's Bluetooth, then connect to my crappy Bluetooth to FM converter, then I got to turn the radio on, then I got to pull up Google Maps and get my jams playing. It can be a long process. Catching up on urgent messages I couldn't address during the drive, gathering myself before entering a home full of people that make my life miserable every day. I mean, yeah, it may sound a bit weird, but believe me, just sitting on your luxury seat with a suitable rhythmic music playing while it's raining and have some snacks is the best. Well, depends with who. If I'm alone, I usually look at my playlist and see what song could I listen to next. If I'm with my brother, then I usually talk with him about what has happened in our past. For example, girls we dated, old friends, etc. Oh, and we bring snacks. If I'm with a girl, it's usually NSW. Trying to find where the best coffee is, or restaurant, and if there's any specials at the liquor store, and if I can swing by and get groceries on the way. So planning what to do basically. 1. Eating. 2. Reading on my phone. 3. Really tired and reading on my phone instead of going in and doing what I came there to do. When I was a delivery driver, I'd sit in front of people's houses for an extra few minutes. That way if they ever told me I needed to improve my time, I could do so. If I can take a lunch break, I go park in a nearby park and read my Kindle or play my Switch. Nothing exciting, sadly, lol. Before my husband and I got married, we had only one car, his, and I wasn't an authorized driver on it. I was working at a school doing aftercare and before school care, so like an hour and a half in the mornings and 5 hours in the afternoons. It was financially not viable for him to drive me for my morning shift and drive back home, then come back to get me an hour and a half later, so he would wait in the car during my short morning shift. I'm a field rep that covers an area approx the size of West Virginia. I stop a lot in parking lots to work on my laptop for a bit, waiting around because I'm way too early for an app, on a conference call I need to pay attention to, or just spacing out for a bit for a break. I go from appointment to appointment, so sometimes I have an hour or so downtown and to FSR from home to drive there and back, so I chill in my car. Usually one of 3 things: texting people and choosing what music I want to listen to before I start driving, waiting for a moment of severe sleepiness to pass. I have a sleep disorder, and it sucks. Or, very occasionally, having a panic attack because I'm somewhere I don't want to be and my mental health is in the toilet. IDK about you guys, but whenever I've been sitting in a parking lot a long time, I'm probably not having the best time. Like being able to afford a takeout plate at a restaurant for the first time in months and scarfing that plate down out of hunger for something real to eat, or the time I drove into town so I'd have cell signal just to hear my boss tell me to wait just a little longer before my layoff goes away and I'll be back to work, or they're just waiting for a drug dealer who's about to pull up. I'm either A. just arriving at work and eating the last bit of breakfast, building up strength to head in and not burn the place down. B. just got off work and I'm spending a few minutes relaxing and on my phone before dealing with traffic on the way home. Okay, so this won't be like the average answer probably, but here's mine. I have a mild case of what we think is agoraphobia, or something like it. Being away from my home gives me a lot of anxiety. The further from home, the worse the stress. If I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot, I am often gathering myself to go inside, gathering myself for the drive home, waiting for meds to kick in so I can go out there and kick butt. I'll admit, I always ignore people waiting for my space because what I'm doing in my car is important to my mental health. They can find another spot or wait. I'm the parking lot security guard. Yes, they make me use my own vehicle to make patrols. I did this for so many years that I installed 2 TVs in my Jeep, one right below the steering wheel that slides out from under the knee blocker panel, and a smaller one above my sun visor. I had 2 for 2 specific situations, depending where I parked. If I parked facing away from the building, I used the larger 7-inch screen TV below the steering wheel so no one could see it. I even made a tinted piece of plastic to lay over the screen so it wouldn't light up the interior of my vehicle at night. The smaller one I used when I was out in the parking lot facing towards the building. I had a little hood on it so that only I could see it. It also had a tinted piece of plastic I put over the screen. I had them both hooked up to separate smaller toggle switches on my middle console right below where I rested my hand so I could turn it off quickly in case anyone approached. I always loved customizing my goof off activities like that. Mine is eating a donut every week after I go grocery store, before I go home to 2 toddlers and chaos. Just a few moments stuffing my face and not needing to deal with anyone else. My kids always go to bed on time. I let them nap a little late today because the 4-year-old never naps. I found a homemade Rice Krispie treat weighed and bagged in the fridge this morning. I was under my calorie count and planned on having that bad boy with a gin and tonic. Halfway and the 4-year-old comes down as I'm having my cocktail and Rice Krispie treat while watching Brooklyn 99. Mofo walks up to me and says, "Mama, what is that?" in the most accusatory tone ever. I couldn't stop laughing at the ridiculousness of it. For context, he loves Rice Krispie treats and I was obviously sneaking one without him. I should have eaten that dang Rice Krispie treat in the car. Genius. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.